there he is, Cody Wall, joining this week's edition of Off the Wall with Cody on this Tuesday morning. Cody, how are you, man? Only one game on the network this past weekend on Sunday, but it was a good one between the Pembina Valley Hawks and Westman Wildcats, battling it out at the Access Events Center in Morden, Manitoba. But like I asked, how you doing on this Tuesday morning, man?
Doing great on this Tuesday morning. Feeling pretty chipper, and definitely was an entertaining game. We got to watch this last weekend. Only one game on the network, with our other games being postponed or canceled. But great to get on here today and to break down the games that we did get to call.
Yeah, always great to have you on the show, Cody, on your segment Off the Wall with Cody to break down the past weekend of games. And even though there was only one game, like I said, it was a good one. And I think you and as well as Seth could allude to that. 3-2 game won by the Westman Wildcats over the Pembina Valley Hawks. Westman came into this game after losing in probably, I'd say, a lot of people would agree with this, the biggest upset in the MFHL regular season this season to date, a 4-0 loss to the Interlake Lightning. The Hawks, for themselves, this was their only game of the weekend. But talk about how the Wildcats came out in this game, because they scored the opening goal of the game in the first period, ended up adding 2 more to their goal total in the second period. Just Westman's response, their bounce back from that big upset loss to the Interlake Lightning the day before.
Yeah, definitely. You could tell coming into this game that the Westman Wildcats were hungry to kind of avenge that loss that they were coming off of yesterday. As you mentioned, coming off a loss 4-0 to the Interlake Lightning, which ended up being the lowest tiered team so far in the league. Adding to that upset factor there, Graham. But they were definitely hungry when they came out of the gates and tried to catch the Hawks flat-footed. But the Hawks did look good throughout the whole game. Really matched the pace of the Wildcats as they kind of got hungry as the game progressed. And they opened up the scoring at 4:50 in the first period with a goal by Maya McGregor, and they kind of kept that momentum going in that first period into the second period, and then they kind of started to have their way at times with the Hawks. Really, it was a back and forth affair, but just a great overall game there, Graham.
Yeah, and looking at the MFHL standings to, talk about how massive this win was for Interlake. That was their first win of the whole MFHL regular season until this point, improving their record to, at the end of their weekend, 1-17. I think they dropped their next game to the Yellowhead Chiefs 4-0. But, going back to this game that we're talking about, for Pembina Valley, of course, they didn't score any goals in that first period. They ended up scoring a goal in the second period to cut the lead down to, I'm not sure if it was, they cut it down to 2-1 or 3-1, but they cut the lead down in the second and then scored in the third and shut Westman out in that period. Of course, the game ending 3-2, but my Pierce stepping up big time for the Hawks, scoring both of their goals. Talk about the performance from Maya Pierce for this Pembina Valley Hawks team in that loss that they had against Westman on Sunday.
Yeah, Maya Pierce, she missed a couple games earlier this year with a hand injury, and coming into this year, this season, she was depended on as one of the assistant captains as part of that leadership group. And yesterday Sunday, she really showed why she was one of those leaders. Really kind of getting rid of that label of just being a passer and kind of becoming a bit of a sniper yesterday, really registering all the goals for Pembina Valley and kind of doubling up her goal total for the year coming into yesterday, only registering 2 goals was Maya, now with 4 on the season after Sunday's affair.
Yeah, right on. And yeah, it all kind of gets muddled together, Cody, if it was rather yesterday or Sunday, right? So close from this segment when it's being recorded, of course, today live on Coffee with Graham from 2 days ago on Sunday. But, yeah, Maya Pierce, her strong suit being a passer, but definitely showed she could score and scoring 2 goals for the Hawks, unfortunately for them, falling short in that game, losing 3-2. But talking about the offense from the Westman Wildcats, of course, you talk about Maya McGregor, how she opened up the scoring in this game. They had, different goal scorers in this game all around. Haley Koloski and Marley Rutherford scored the other goals for the Westman Wildcats. Just talk about their depth for Westman. It's been so prevalent this year in terms of how that helped them out into winning this game, how that played a factor.
Yeah, looking at the lineups coming into the game, just looking at the offensive stats of the Wildcats, it looked like it was a little bit more spread out than the Pembina Valley Hawks, where they kind of have the Hawks have a couple of players have more points. The Wildcats really have a lot more players that kind of do it spread out through the lineup. All their players kind of registering right around that 10-point mark. Nobody really in that high teens, but kind of just by committee, the team worked real good as a one cohesive unit. And, they really came with their A game yesterday.
Yeah, and that's been a huge part of their success is getting scoring from so many players on this team for Westman. You look at the stats and it's crazy how spread out the scoring is. A true testament to scoring by committee for the Westman Wildcats this year. But talking about the shots now, Cody, in this game, Westman, they've gotten the upper hand in the shots in the past 2 matchups before this one against Pembina Valley in terms of outshooting them. Of course, the Hawks outshot the Wildcats in their first meeting of the season, and it went back to that same formula in this game as the Hawks outshot the Wildcats 39-30, and Grace Glover got the start for Westman, Kaylee Franz in net for the Pembina Valley Hawks. Just talk about the Hawks' ability to generate their chances in this game, obviously only getting 2 goals out of them, but just that ability to get as many shots as they did, out shooting the Westman Wildcats by a total of 9 shots in that differential, 39-30.
Yeah, the offensive forecheck from the Hawks was really strong on Sunday. They were really putting everything they could every time they got a good chance or a chance that you can maybe see a rebound or get a chance off of it. They would throw it at the net because coming into the game, knowing Grace Glover as one of the premier goalies in the female hockey league, Manitoba Female Hockey League here. They knew they were going to have a tough test going up against her, and really, you could see by their game plan of taking a lot of shots and really not waiting for that perfect opportunity, going more by the quantity over quality shots.
Yeah, and speaking of Grace Glover, like I mentioned to you before we started recording the segment for this week earlier on this morning. Grace Glover, you mentioned it. Led the MFHL in wins heading into the game on Sunday. Of course, she's tied for the league lead in wins now, along with Sydney McMullen of Yellowhead. Grace and Sydney both having 10, but Grace 10-2 on the season, a 924 save percentage, 1.96 goals against average, and she was on the top of her game once again yesterday, a goaltender that got named to the provincial Manitoba team for that Western Regionals women's U18 championships in 2021 in November. But, how Grace was able to come out in this game and really play her game, having another dominant performance out there.
Yeah, she really looked poised out there. Even though she did see a lot of shots, there weren't a lot of bad rebounds that squeaked out that I seen from Grace there. She really was able to, when she saw a shot, was able to either deflect it to a better area where maybe a defenseman could pick up and kind of break it out of their own zone, or she'd suck it up and be able to freeze it for a whistle when her team maybe was running around. Because they did find in the second and third period, there were times where it looked like Westman was running around when Pembina Valley did get their chances and was able to get wound up. But Grace was up to the task on everyone.
Penalties were a theme for the Pembina Valley Hawks last week in their game against the Winnipeg Avros, taking a total of 10 penalty minutes, putting the Avros on the girl advantage 5 times. Of course, the Hawks killed all 5 of those off. I'm not sure what happened in Sunday's game, but the Hawks and Wildcats pretty even in penalty minutes, almost even for that matter. The Hawks taking 8 total penalty minutes and the Wildcats taking 6 penalty minutes. Talk about how both of these teams look both on the power play. We'll start off with that on the power play first off when they did get their chances.
Yeah, both power plays looked real strong. The Wildcats were able to get one of their goals on the end of a power play there. And, really their special teams looked good. And for the Pembina Valley Hawks, they were cycling quite well like they normally do. And we're trying to find those open areas. There was a couple times where the Westman Wildcat penalty kill was able to kind of get a stick on a loose puck. But for the most part, that would be what I would say the strongest part of the Hawks game yesterday. Even though they didn't register a power play goal, was their power play, the way they were able to cycle it and generate so much pressure and momentum from their power plays.
Yeah, for sure. And, that was something that they struggled against the Avros with doing was that power play, really getting into their zone, with the exception of that one goal that they got on the power play on that first one that they had out of the 2 against the Avros, kind of a freak play there where the puck bounced to an unlucky place for the Avros. The Hawks on that second power play couldn't get out of their zone. So nice to know that that power play had more action, had more generated opportunities against a very good defensive Westman Wildcats team. But talk about the 2 penalty kills for these 2 teams, the Hawks and the Wildcats, how they looked. You talked about how the power plays both look strong for these teams, but how did the penalty kill fare for both these teams, the Hawks and Wildcats, in Sunday's game?
So I'm going to start off with the Hawks penalty kill. I thought they looked pretty good when they did get the chance as well. They were able to get some active sticks. Other than, a couple of breakdowns, they were pretty well perfect other than, like I said, just the 1 or 2 for the most part. They were able to keep everything to the outside and, were able to apply pressure at the right moments. And then the Westman Wildcats, they were able to keep the Hawks to the outside, but for the most part, I did think that the Hawks penalty kill would have gotten a slight advantage, just the way they were able to kind of control the penalty kill for the majority of it, opposed to even though the Wildcats didn't get scored on when they were on the penalty kill, just the way that the Hawks were able to control the game when the Hawks were on the power play and the Wildcats were on the penalty kill. It really felt to me that the Hawks were able to, even though they weren't able to get offense from it on the score sheet, they were able to generate enough momentum that kind of propelled them later on in the game to make a bit of a comeback.
Ending off with this question here, Cody, I think you'd allude to this. It was a very back and forth game against the Hawks and Wildcats on Sunday. Of course, a 1-goal game, 3-2, another close game between the 2 teams this season, with the Wildcats coming out on top for the 4th time against this Hawks team. But what would you say was probably the biggest difference in this game between the 2 teams on Sunday for the Wildcats to be able to get the win?
That's a good question, Graham. There was a lot of good things that both teams were doing. The biggest difference maker, I think I would have to say, would have been, especially for the Westman Wildcats, Grace Glover, she really was phenomenal in that game, able to block a majority of the shots. Kaylee Franz, who got the start for the Hawks, looked good as well. A couple of missed plays that were a little fluky that got by her. Other than that, she was just near perfect. And then a player I really liked for the Pembina Valley Hawks, who I thought stood out a lot, was Maya Pierce. She really kind of the one play specifically that I kind of thinking back of was when the Hawks had a goal called off, got a face off just to the glove hand side of Grace Glover, and Maya Pierce, after Abby Bordedwy won the face off, just kind of walked in and willed her way to kind of put the puck in the net there right after the no goal call. And that really, to me, felt like I in the moment I thought the Hawks were off of that going to be able to kind of propel their way back to the win, but I really felt like that was a big moment for Maya Pierce.
Well, I had to leave you with a tougher question to end off this week's edition of your segment here, Cody. The Hawks and the Wildcats battled it out for the fourth time, meeting each other for the fourth time in the MFHL regular season here in the 2021-2022 regular season. Of course, the Wildcats coming out with the win. They moved to 15-5 on the season, while the Pembina Valley Hawks fall to 9-11 on the season, still under 500 in terms of their record this season in their MFHL regular season. But Cody, once again, thanks for coming on your segment again this week. Off the Wall with Cody Wall on this Tuesday morning. Until we do it again next week on Tuesday, Cody, you stay safe and take care, man.
Thanks, Graham. We'll talk to you next week.